Hello everybody, my name is Eric, and today we're going to be taking a quick look at H2 Revived, which is this Call of Duty mod for an old version of the game. I'm sorry, I don't know a ton about Call of Duty, and there's this big thing over whether this is malicious. Now, first of all, before we get into testing, let's state the obvious. What's going on here is very risky behavior, because people are essentially going through various discords to download a leak of a mod that was taken down. So, authenticating which one is real is going to be a challenge, but the main drama seems to be over this exe, H2M Revived.exe. It's got an 8 out of 10 on triage, and it also gets a Whack-A-Rat, I think it's called, detection on Defender, which many people in the comments point out is usually bogus. And I mean, I would agree, Defender is pretty bad at detecting malware and pretty good at detecting innocent software, so maybe it isn't. I even said some people maybe just learning about how sad antivirus software is in the current year. So let's see how this earned a high sandbox score, and then we'll try it out some other places. So image file execution options injection. Now, this is a strange way of injecting, but I'm trying to see, mods are a bit like cheats in the sense of where they are modifying the game, and therefore they may have to do, well, I'm not sure if that's just because triage put it there. Okay, let's look at the replay. And of course it doesn't work because the person doesn't have Call of Duty installed. So you're supposed to put the H2M mod in your Modern Warfare folder and run it next to the game. Okay, so let's look at it on Detected Easy, which is simply a tool that shows what's in a binary file. See file info. Okay, and we don't see anything obvious, and we can see that it's not packed, which means then we can just open it in Binary Ninja. So I'm going to search in here for this image file string and see if we can find any context as to why it might be doing something. And while we wait for that, we can also look at virus total. So this specific one gets a hit from anti-AVL for grayware Cape W. I've never heard that definition name. And we get the same name from Gridinsoft Cloud. No Microsoft hits here. And this gets, there's not a lot of network activity, which is good. I'm pretty sure there was a bit of a confusion made here, where this guy seemed to think, and I'm not attacking him because this is an easy mistake to make, that this meant that the thing was reading his Google cache. Now, I wish Defender was smart and would be able to detect that, but having tested a lot of info stealers, I can tell you it isn't. What I think happened is, because he downloaded the exe on Chrome, and it was caught early, I'm pretty sure it was actually the act of downloading it that set off Defender, and it would have been in the cache for that reason. Okay, so here is the notorious piece, this string that has set everyone off. So here is one reference. Now to me this looks like a string copy function, given we got the size over here. Display that. And then we got the string. Then we've got a null pointer, and probably a destination. And through some sort of bad stack recognition, we can probably guess what's going on here. So we create the key. I'm feeling this should be a pointer, but we'll just leave it for now. So this key gets opened, and if the result is no error, so here we can see that this is one of the pieces for this. So let's try and figure out where this, so this gets called within main, and this is one of the messages in the error box. We also have a wine check here. Now we can also look and see what DLLs this interacts with, which is another way you can sort of get an idea of if anything sketchy is going on. So we got crypt32. That's probably, that would be the one you'd be the most concerned about, but I don't think so. Kernel32, pretty much always. GDI, which is needed for GUI. Adv API. Let's see what, I don't like the crypt ones because that's, okay, it doesn't have crypt protect, crypt unprotect, so that's good. There's also quite a bit of interaction with the Steam API, which is also not necessarily unexpected, given this is trying to be, and this is some sort of Steam authentication keys. It all looks normal to me. And this is, Steam has a Windows protocol you can call to run it. And this is a function that gets the Steam API into And we can search in here and see if it has any references to, and these URLs look like they are from the original. So the domain is offline because this got cease and desisted. Everything in this, I think we can fairly safely call false positive. Now, what about this 2 GB file? Okay, so here's the same exe. I'll just upload it to VirusTotal as an easy way of checking that it is in fact the same file. No, it's not. Okay, that was one of the things people were concerned about, is that it has a different hash. Now let's open this one up in Binary Ninja, see what has actually changed. Now, unfortunately, I've never been able to get BinDiff working on modern versions of Binary Ninja, but we don't need it to see if the file is approximately the same or very different. Now, my guess as to what the difference is, because this is what the developers claimed, is that they just changed the hard-coded IP addresses. And of course, while some people don't understand, yes, if there's an IP address coded in a executable file, or anything hard-coded in an executable file, and you change that, yes, that does change the hash, because it's a new executable file, even though not much has changed. Now, of course, once again, while I haven't found anything malicious, I'm still looking. This is horrendously risky, especially the idea of shipping hard-coded IPs, which means you're going to have different hashes. But risky does not mean malicious. I would strongly advise the community here to smarten up, but it doesn't seem so. We can also upload the new version to Triage. Okay, so Triage once again has given us an 8 out of 10, but let's see why. So it definitely uses the image file execution options, but there's nothing in here that's obviously malicious, despite the fact that this can be used for malicious purpose. Now this is a bit... No, actually it isn't. Is when I open Task Manager. That can be the trouble with sandboxes, is you can end up with behavior, if you use the sandbox, you can end up with behavior being recorded that was not to the point. Yeah, using 7-zip, we can get an idea of what's in it, but there's really nothing spicy in here. Now let's try scanning this with Defender to see what Defender says for me. So I'm getting 0 threats. So it's possible there are other versions of this file going around, which could very well be malicious, or false positives. It seems like it's going to be very, very hard to track. So really, I mean, the main recommendation is if you're going to use something like this, obviously check it, try to, run it in a sandboxes are good because if you know what you're doing, they will tell you what it is doing, but they may not be able to determine if something is malicious. Like this does not appear to be. And if you remove that, you've actually got a score of 0. So I wouldn't consider this file malicious. There's also no indication in any of this there's an info stealer in any of these files, but it could be slipped in. That's unfortunately the risk that people take with modding. You can, if you're more technically inclined, and I will include a link in the description on how to set it up, you can use, if you're on Windows, you can use Hyper-V with GPU partitioning to allow you to play the game in a virtual machine that will share the same graphics card as your host. And the final security concern that I do not have a strong opinion on, because it has happened so many times in Call of Duty that I'm actually thinking of making a video on this specific problem, is remote code execution. Many versions of Call of Duty, such as,
this
for
is
example,
a warning
this version,
for everyone who just bought Modern Warfare Remastered on Modern Warfare Remastered, how they just bought it, they were wondering if it's made by Meow. And
yeah, and they can, because these are peer-to-peer multiplayer, which means every player's computer is connecting to every other player. These kind of things could happen. Now, it's not as obvious with this mod, which doesn't work the same way if this could happen, but yeah, it is something to worry about with old Call of Duty games on PC. So that is going to be all for this video. Unfortunately, we can never attest 100% that what is essentially a collective hacking project is safe. What I can say is the current detections are probably false positives, and unfortunately, it's just very tricky to know for sure. So, should you use it? Well, if you really like this game and you're not using it on a computer that has anything that would be devastating if it were breached, go for it. Do not be like the Disney guy. Do not install this on your work computer with your Slack that you would be utterly humiliated if it leaked. But also, I don't think this is necessarily much more risky than other mods, or even other fan or official multiplayers, where, especially if mods are involved, they can also be dangerous. Like, for example, there's a theory that the BeamNG malware could spread over BeamNP, so it's just unfortunately game modding isn't 100% safe. So that's all from me for now. Bye.